doing today?
Yeah,
Good. Good weekend? Anybody doing more stuff tonight? Continuing celebrations?
Absolutely.
Good job. You know, I told Jennifer, I said, you know, she goes, what do you want to do tomorrow? I'm like, it'd be so good to go downstairs, turn off all the lights on the outside house. And she's like, you're so bad. I know. I'm a little better about holidays, but you see, again, I'm not making a flip, but I always like Donald Trump's statement. He goes, lunch is nothing more than interruption in the day, but I've extended it to holidays. Is that it's an interruption at some level, but I've gotten better, Amy. I've gotten better because this is Jennifer's favorite holiday. So, all right.
Are you dressing up?
No.
As a Scrooge?
Well, I'll do certain stuff. I like to scare kids, so I do that. Yeah, I'll do certain stuff. All right, so take this the right way, but it's also take it also the right way. I get what I want. And you may say, I almost always get what I want. And I say almost because I'm always grateful for the great song Garth Brooks, thank God for unanswered prayers. But I say I almost always get what I want because sometimes I think the universe delivers something different that you didn't even know that you needed or wanted. But I say that from the standpoint of salesmanship. Just ask yourself, do you get what you want? When you sell something and you're trying to achieve something, do you get what you want? And the thing that I've observed in this business is take this the right way. Like I was thinking, maybe I need an extra $100,000. Okay, I'll go out and sell real estate for about 30 days and make 100 grand. You may say, oh, come on. I've proven this over and over and over again. It doesn't matter whether people say whether it's door knocking works or doesn't work, or they have to do internet leads to make it work. Yeah, can you call for sub owners expired, just listed, just sold, knock doors, call. It doesn't matter. Because when I was 22 years old, I made a dedication to my life that I would master the game to communicate in the game of selling. And in the process of that, of course, a lot has unfolded. And I even though this is, several years ago, I still think back of, some of you heard this, where Heidi Costain said, door knocking doesn't work. And I said, oh, really? Which is one of our great agents in the company. And she was just starting out, and she was probably like many of you going, well, I'm not sure what source I should go after. And I said, well, I'll prove to you that it works. So let's go get in the car. We drive over to actually near where Bailey lives, over in French Court over there. I said, well, you pick whatever houses you want me to meet you at. And she picked them. First house, listed first house, first door knock, 1.2 million. It was a good, I said, and don't forget, I still get a 35. I said, I'm going to take 35%. By the time it was said and done, it was such a difficult deal. I said, okay, 25%, just because I felt bad because I didn't do anything, Aubrey, but list the house. And then I was like, okay, I was like the rope tire on the 8, and I threw my hands up. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I did what I needed to do. But she had to administrate the whole thing. It was quite a challenge. Second door, same thing. They needed to sell, and like, I don't know, a week later they put their home up for sale. But they had Greg Anadakis as they were best friends with those guys, baseball coach of Isaac's. My point is I could show you over and over and over again. When I wanted to sell a home a week, I sold 54 homes, and it was on like December 24th when I sold my 52nd home. And it's because I made a decision. Now, you may say, gosh, why are you saying all this? Well, because I was at one point where you are, and I was at one point in my career where I would go into these moments of doubt and disbelief and wonderment as to whether I could achieve what I needed to achieve. So there's two things I want to share with you today. And that is that whether your gap is like this wide mentally or emotionally, or whether your gap is as wide as this room or as wide as the Grand Canyon, this business is something that you can always figure out, and that you can develop the skill sets, the mindset, and the disciplines to win at this game. But what I find is that so many people will never ask the question, what else do I need to be doing? You say, that seems like such a simple question, but it has to do with everything. Because if we're in the persuasion process and we have to refine our process, then we have to remember that we have to persuade people, which is our number one job, to getting what we want. And if we're incapable of persuading people, then we're not going to get what we want. Now, the key to persuasion versus manipulation, which we've talked about for years, maybe all of you have heard this, I'm sure except maybe there's one or two of you, but the difference between persuasion and manipulation is very little. It's very little. You're going to smile, ask questions, and greet people, have the right image, have the right look. But just remember, when we're persuading versus manipulating, it's always what are our intentions. So if your intention is to help someone, and I know it's a bold statement, getting what you want, and very seldom do I not get what I want. And I was talking about this earlier this last week with an individual, and I said, let me give you a perspective. There are people who do not want to sit down with me when they're in these moments of indecision, in these moments of even whether they're thinking, oh my gosh, maybe there's another company that's cheaper. And this is the text that comes along. I didn't want to sit down with you because I knew that if I sat down with you, you'd change my mind. Well, that's because what you're doing is completely stupid. So of course I'm going to change your mind, because what you're doing is you're chasing money and you're not fixing the problem, because problem's always the same case when anyone leaves the company. Guess what you do? You take you with you, and you are the problem. It's not the company, it's the problem. It's you when you leave the company. When you don't have what you want, you are the problem. It's not the market. And look, the moment you want to sit there and say it's the market, it's the rates, it's the commission rates, it's what other agents are doing, it's all the discounting, it's all the other brokers, it's all the other discounters, you lose complete control of your future. So I refuse to acknowledge the fact that what's outside of me is controlling from what's within me. So get into the habit of taking responsibility. But remember that persuasion, as a reminder, is just a handful of things. Number one, it is how do we persuade, I should better say. We persuade people by our voice. We persuade people by our image, what we look like, and we persuade people by our body language. It's really important that you remember that. It all matters. How you speak, how you look, and what your body language is like. You may say, well, is it really that important? People judging me? Yes. Nonstop, you're being judged. You may say, well, that's not fair. Well, no one said it had to be fair, right? You're not selling real estate to make a political campaign. You're not selling real estate to give some civil rights movement. You're selling real estate so that you can help people and earn a lot of money doing it. And if you want to earn a lot of money doing it, you have to persuade people and recognize your voice, your image, and your body language has everything to do with it. Then you start breaking it down. I'm sure some of you have seen this, but gosh, it's got to be now nearly 30, 40 years ago. There was a study done at UCLA that talked about the whole point of the way in which people communicate. So now ask yourself this, and that 7% of communication is the words that you say. It's a really small amount, like what you say. So even when we talk about persuasion over here, if those are the three ways we persuade another human being, boy, the words are important. Yes, scripting and dialogue and what we say and is really important. But the second part, right, is 38%. If some of you remember this, it's been a while, a long time since I put this up here, but it's the tone of your voice. So it's not what you say, it's what? How you say it, right? Thank you. You guys have been hanging out with me a while. I like that. All right. 55% is your body language, right? So that's why, guys, that's why door knocking is so effective, because you get to do all three things when you meet someone. They hear your voice, they hear your words, and they get to see you. So when we are wanting to persuade someone through our communication, pay attention to the fact that what you say, how you say it, and what your body language is when you say it is what persuades someone. And that persuasion is your voice, your image, and your body language. And once you start to recognize that, you start to realize, okay, what are the answers to the test? And when I say that, meaning who are you trying to attract into your life? Who are you trying to bring into your life? Who are you trying to convince and persuade in your life? Who are you trying to communicate with in this life? And the challenge is that so many of these skills got forgotten during the last 3 years because I'm going to speak about this at the summit, but we've gotten into some weird patterns. We've gotten into some patterns of business waiting to come to us. We've gotten in patterns of buying business. We've gotten into patterns of not going out and getting business. We've gotten the patterns of not getting up early. We've gotten the patterns of not working hard. We've gotten into patterns of not working late. But when I sat down with Isaac on Saturday morning in my office here, and or afternoon, and we went through all of these different factors of your schedule. And as I went through that, I said, this is what you're going to have to do to make $1 million+ a year. You want to make $1 million bucks? This is what you do. If you don't, then don't do it. And that's okay. And I just gave the schedule. I said, this is the schedule. And I said, I can show you the schedule of Brian Burnett. I can show you the schedules of Dave Parker. I can show you the schedules in the meat and the heart of when Justin Udy was in his career and driving forward toward first agent to make $1 million in the company. And when he did all those things, this was the schedule. So there's not like any magical answer to this. So when we talk about business planning and we talk about schedule, just remember, man, all the answers are there. It's just whether you're willing to pay the price to be there. And that's okay if you're not. It's okay. You don't have to make $1 million+ a year. But I've always said, boy, if you can, why wouldn't you? And some of you are capable of doing that, and you're just not doing it because you refuse to do what's necessary to get it. You want it to be a different answer, a different price that you have to pay, and it's not going to be any different. And it's not that you can't affirm it, speak well of it, say great things in regards to your energy and the flow of the world, the universe, this earth that we live in, the way it flows and the way it moves. But you have to make first a decision of, this is how much money I'm going to earn. And stop getting so attached to the way in which you earn it. And if you can get that, if you can get that in your life, you'll start realizing that all the answers are already inside of you. Stop, pick what you want and stop worrying about how you get it. Stop putting conditions as to, well, I won't do this. Right. You put conditions of moral, ethical, and honest. That's great. Please do that, by the way. Rob will appreciate that. Okay. But beyond that, it's usually you talking yourself out of hard work. It's usually talking yourself out of working late. It's usually when so you guys know, I was so irritated on Saturday morning. Let me tell you why I was so irritated. I walk in, I'm meeting with the guy who's such a dear mentor to me. Some of you know him, Tom Lloyd, owns and built all these glass buildings. I meet with Tom. Tom's car's there. We're meeting at 9. I pull into the parking lot at 9. We're meeting at 9. And guess how many other cars are in the parking lot on Saturday morning at 9 a.m.? Guess. None. Except mine and another one. There was a car way out there. Was that you?
No, I pulled in and then I thought, well, I can't get to the building. So
there was someone in their car.
Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah. Exactly.
There was a black car out there. That's you.
Oh, exactly.
Well, I'm like, let's count some guy in his car. There was basically, okay, all right, 3 cars. But I want you to point, awesome. I love that. My point is I'm saying that there are people who are economically hemorrhaging in this organization. And they're not at working. I am blown away that when I'm in my biggest crises of life economically, I'm going to pay the price of what's necessary. So just remember, stop getting so fixated on what it is you have to do to get what you want. Pick what you want and stop worrying about what you have to do to get it.
George, can I just comment that Saturday, as we all know through the years, is the most powerful day of the week
Yes.
for a realtor.
Yes. And by the way, my work is I prospected from 8 to 10. 10 o'clock, I'd have one appointment. I was done by noon. And my rule of thumb was I'll go anytime. I didn't have a game for Isaac or a game for Kenzie or something I had to be to, but I worked every Saturday morning that I was available. And in general, it meant I was at least 2 Saturdays a week. Because the number of times I've prospected on a Saturday evening, pardon?
Yeah,
A month is actually very impressive.
That's
Saturdays a week.
What?
Saturdays a week.
Saturdays a week.
Oh, 2 Saturdays a month. Sorry.
We paid you.
2 Saturdays a month. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. But I just want to point out, right? Go to the gym. People focus on, they just go to the gym aimlessly. Like if you go to the gym, like what do you want? And then stop focusing on all the stress of what it means to get there. Just pick what you want and then go. And what most people do is they focus on how painful, how hard it is, how they don't want to get up early, how they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. Stop choosing what you have to do in this business, whether it's the gym, whether it's this business, you name it, get really serious about what it takes to do this business. Okay, that was the first point, Jake. Get to work. Work harder. Man, I look back in the beginning of my career in my early 20s, I was making 100+ contacts a day. Not because I needed to make 100 contacts today, I wouldn't need to, because my skill sets are far better. But when my skills weren't as good, I had to make 100+ contacts a day to sell the number of homes I sold that first year, which was 33 homes. 33. Now, people have done far more than that. I'm not saying that people haven't done more than that, but I was 22 years old selling 33 homes. Yeah, seemed like a reasonably good approach. And I just made the contacts, and I just would find someone who finally would say yes every single day. But remember, I talked about getting what you want. That's the first point. Second point, I've talked about this only a few times. Every one of us has beliefs. And I'm very cautious to talk about this because we have beliefs that we think are right. And so the many times that I've listed homes where no one else was let out, no one else came in, no other agents were there, and they would list with me because they had a belief. This is something that we could work on really, really, really a long time. And then we won't even be able to give it justice in the next 10 minutes. But beliefs are what we operate based on. We have a belief in a religion. We have a belief politically. We have a belief in this business. But whether it's a for sale by owner, an expired, a just listed, a just sold, a buyer, they all have a belief. And so I would go on these appointments where people would say, we're not going to list, Kelly, but you can come out and preview the home. And I would come out and preview the home because their belief was they're not going to list the home. Let's just say it's for sale by owner. And they would have these beliefs. We're going to save money, as an example. What's another belief for sale by owner, by the way? Okay, they don't want to get tied up in a contract. What else?
They can do the same thing as you can.
Right? Let's just say that they can market it and do the same. That's fine, the same stuff, right? What else? What is it? They have a belief that they're going to sell. Let's just put it this way: sell on their own. That's their belief. Then they have supporting beliefs. I can do what you do. I can save the money. I don't want to be tied up in a contract. I can do the same thing you're doing. What's another leg to this table, this belief? And by the way, I'm putting these pillars, even though I know that doesn't look like it. That's a table, by the way.
Your friend in the business, but
What?
they do need a realtor there.
Great, they've got a friend. And we can put trust, but there you go. So here's the thing that I find that most agents don't do. When I tell you I get what I want, I mean, this is the thing. I actually, my example, by the way, last week was of Rob. He doesn't even know this. But Rob and John privately had discussed, like, at times, well, we think this is what we're doing. We shall stand strong on this belief. And when we present to George, we're going to stand together, Amy, and he's going to be convinced. And so I would hear their stupid belief, Aubrey. And then I'd be like, okay, what are the supporting legs to that belief? Well, we've done our research and we know this and we know that. And then what I do is just go, bam, bam, bam. And all of a sudden, John would go, well, I think George is right. And then Rob would be like, you just because he said it doesn't mean you have to do it. And he'd get all ticked off and I'm right. And what he doesn't understand is what I was doing is I would just take their belief and I'd knock the legs out of what supported the belief. And you knock out 2 or 3 beliefs, people are like, whoa, maybe he's right. So all of a sudden you knock out, you're going to save money. Let's talk about that. You're going to be tied up in a contract only if you felt trapped, and we lock that out. Oh, you mean you can do the same thing? Really? Well, if that's the case, why are there 4,000 homes on the market and yet only 1,000 of them are still selling a month? If you can do the same thing, then why is it those haven't sold? And if agents do all the same thing, why haven't those sold? Oh, wait, you have a friend in the business? Well, wait, I'm concerned. What if you ruin that friend, whatever, friendship, because you work with that person at your, why don't we just pay them a referral fee so they get a little money? Well, you know what? You better, I'll list it, but they can find the buyer. Oh, that sounds great. All of a sudden you've knocked out all these beliefs and they're like, well, yeah, I should list with you, Kelly. Sounds like a good deal. And I just want to point out that go back though to what I've talked about. I'm not trying to manipulate people because your intentions are to do the right thing. But if you know the right answer and you know what's supposed to be done, it's not just persuading people so they go with you. Because if someone sits in my presence and comes up with a better idea than the one I know is the right one, I'm in all ears and I want to hear it. And it's the same thing. Because what we're going to do is we're going to justify all of these decisions based on logic. Right? But the reality is it's still made based on what? Emotion. Justified by logic. Most people are making emotional decisions, especially in selling real estate. Your job is to get down into their beliefs. Your job is to make sure they make a good decision, but they'll change their decision when you bring some logic to the table. Don't underestimate it. So when I say I get what I want, it's not because I'm trying to hurt people. It's not because I'm trying to manipulate people. It's because I believe what I know is best for them. And here's the question I ask yourself. Is it better that they work with you or another agent? Is it better that they end up with a mediocre agent, possibly lose money, be mistreated, misdirected, poor navigation through the deal? And you have to fundamentally believe, that's where I go back to, that you are the best agent for the job. And once you fundamentally believe that, then what are you using from your skill sets, your communication, your persuasion, and you get down to these beliefs. Now, this whole thing, you may say, whoa, there's a lot there. There is a lot there, but you have to fundamentally figure out what is the top belief and then find out the beliefs that support it. We will never have, I mean, that is a lifelong process for every one of you. But it's the same thing with a kid. A kid has a decision like Isaac has. He's thinking he doesn't need to go to school, doesn't he? And so yesterday around the dinner table with his Nana and his Papa, they all sat down and tried to rip out these beliefs of supporting his idea that is so stupid to not finish school, right? Right? I mean, I can say, well, hold on. Yeah, well, that's your belief. And if you want to sit down with me, I'll tell you all the reasons why you should get a degree. And yes, I didn't get one, but every day I still regret that I haven't gotten one. And I wish that I would have. So the point is that when someone has a belief and you fundamentally know it's wrong, then you have to find out the supporting reasons as to what their belief is about. And you knock out those beliefs. You knock out one major belief out of a structural leg to that belief, you will destroy the belief. It will get wobbly just from one. It's the reason why when someone says, we're going to list with a friend, and all you say is, that's interesting. Are they full-time or part-time? Well, I'm not sure. You know, what's your friend's name? Because we all work together. Oh, it's Bob. Did you realize that Bob's only sold 4 homes this last year? And I've sold 40? So I'm concerned. Are you looking to work with someone part-time? Oh man, I remember an agent, I won't even name his name because he's comes in here in this meeting a lot. And I remember years ago calling him and he goes, let me guess what you did. Because I called to tell them they thought you were terrific. They really did want to give you a chance, but they listed with me. And I started down. He goes, let me guess. And I said, guess what? You showed him your record compared to mine. Well, yeah, I did. Because here's the problem. You've only sold 1 listing in the last 6 months, but 20 buyers. So the question is, are you going to work with an agent that specializes in buyers or listings? And when I looked my listings up, they said, is that your whole company or is that you? No, that's me. Because it was over 40 of them at the time. And I said, so if you want to list with someone who's not working with listings, that's great. If you want to work with someone who actually specializes in selling houses, then work with me. Well, we listed the house because they had a belief, by the way, they already had his contract in place. It was all signed, but they were holding on to it to decide whether that was for sure what they wanted to do. As I personally watched them rip it up, it was one of those moments of beauty and grace. It's true. Rob and I were working together that time in the sense of selling real estate. So just remember, these beliefs, find out when you're prospecting, find out or presenting, what is someone's belief and what is the supporting reasons? What are the legs to this table of this belief? And once you figure that out, ask yourself, their belief, is it the right one? And if you are coming from a place of persuasion, goodness, integrity, helping someone get what they ultimately want, then shatter these beliefs or supporting beliefs and get it to where this belief aligns with the belief of, oh yeah, I should list with you. And that's why I sit there and say to you that as you move through this process of selling, stop worrying about how you're going to get there, in the sense of pick where you're going and then do whatever it takes to master the ability to communicate. And the only time that I ever feel bad about knocking out someone's belief system is when I lack the integrity and the ability to truly ask myself, is this just for me or is it for them? Now I say if I help them get what they want, then I get what I want. But I have to really ask myself, where do I stand in relationship to my integrity? Some people, when they hear someone say, well, actually, here's another thought. These are the exact words. It's pick on Rob, Dave, Aubrey. Because Rob will remember this. There's nothing you can say to this agent. They're leaving the company. And he wasn't mad about it. He goes, there's nothing you're going to do. Nothing. There's no way. John did the same thing. Let's pick on John today. Do a John pick on today. I remember he told me that Fred Tazardis was for sure leaving the company. There is nothing you can do. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? Both those agents are still in this company, by the way. And I say that because I found out what is your belief, what is the supporting legs of your belief, and then I just kick them out. And then all of a sudden they stay. Because what they're doing was so stupid. And by the way, that was years ago that they're still here. Because all of a sudden the belief that they had was so wrong, so incorrect, so literally debilitating to their future that I'm going to call them on it. But I want to know the reasons why they have that belief. I have to know those reasons. And if I don't know them, I can't strike them out. Just I can show you over and over and over again of this. Some of you are like scared by this conversation. You can get whatever you want. And here's the scary part. You have a stewardship to do it through a place of persuasion and integrity. Don't forget that, because if you don't, you can do all of this and ruin people's lives. And you have a strict, amazing, incredible stewardship to take care of people and make sure that you're coming from the right space. Okay, any thoughts, comments? Get what you want. That's the bottom line, Amy. More of what you want.
I'll say one thing, this is just about building relationships too. And over, being in the business a little bit longer, probably about people in this room, I have found that some of the things I've done wrong in the last couple of years is get away from what I do best, and that's building relationships. And so I'm just in the last couple of months, I'm trying to revamp that again. It's just the same stuff.
Yeah.
And this is different things. Like last week, I knew something was going on with the client because the spouse had kind of told me on just one of their follow-up calls. And so I kept thinking about, like, what the crap am I doing? What I should be doing when you're building relationships, I go over and visit with them. Not about real estate, but building relationships.
Yeah.
So I did. I sat in the living room with the husband, wife was at home, and talked for about an hour. He tried to commit suicide a few times. He's
Oh, wow.
an older guy, and all this stuff going on in his life. And I got called him a couple times, but I realized if we truly want businesses where people believe and trust in us, this first opportunity that we have to do, I've probably done 8 transactions for their family. I mean, I'm the family realtor, but the family realtor means part of the family. Being part of the family means caring beyond just, hey, when you give me my next paycheck. And this is the type of stuff that I learned a long time ago, but I've forgotten, is what gives us a business that's meaningful and gets us up in the morning because we care about the people we're working with.
Yeah, depth. And the only way, and here's what's screaming in my head as you're talking about, is you slow down. But the thing that's interesting is that you can manage people or you can lead people. And if you want depth to a relationship, you have to slow down. You have to, or it has no depth. Then it just is superficial, it's top line, And if you get that type of depth, then to your point, you get 8+ transactions and you are the family realtor, which is awesome. Okay. Rob is very persuasive, by the way, if everyone doesn't know that. But there's been a few times where I have possibly persuaded him otherwise. Or proven that he's wrong. And that's the best thing I can do. By the way, yesterday, I want you to know, 30 years ago, yesterday, Rob, you may not, you don't remember this, but 30 years, well, you remember what I'm gonna tell you, but you don't know it was yesterday, but 30 years ago, yesterday, I was at Rob's house having, Rob and Jennifer are cousins, but 30 years ago, yesterday was my, I thought I misspoke. It was yesterday that was our 30th year anniversary for our first date. There you go.
Oh, you and Rob-
So I wrote Rob through the best 30 years and worst years at times of my 30 years of my life.
He
Just kidding.
actually owes me well over $1 million. Yeah.
And foosball. That's how I play. Double or nothing. Double or nothing. Double or nothing. All right. Okay, guys, let's roll. Here we go. We'll work more on this even tomorrow. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do some role plays together too.